Huh, well that was something. Mickey 17. Mickey is known as an expendable, a disposable crew member on a space mission, selected for dangerous tasks because his body can be reprinted if he dies, with his memories largely intact. His mission to aid the colonization of a new planet goes very wrong with his latest regeneration. So I think the biggest hook I've seen on this is that it's directed by the same guy who did Parasite, which won the Best Picture a few years ago. I've shamefully not actually seen Parasite yet, but I have watched another one of his films, Snowpiercer, which when I found out they were by the same guy, makes a lot of sense. An interesting futuristic concept intended to make you feel slightly uncomfortable, but also with a slower pace than what might be expected. Oddly specific, I know, right? But kind of encapsulates both of them pretty well. And all this is said with hindsight, because I would probably admit that Mickey 17 wasn't quite all what I was expecting it to be. For how interesting a concept it was, and for how much I wanted to explore this story, it really took its sweet time taking you through the motions. I think the introduction of the film is like 30 minutes before even the title card shows up. It also has a lot of narration early on too, and by choice of Robert Pattinson, he's putting on this peculiar voice, and it really grated me after a while. Oh man, this review's sounding way more negative than I intended to. There is a fair bit to compliment here, namely the actual look of the film and the performances from the cast. It feels like the intention is for the characters to be slightly out of line with what you might find in a normal person. Robert Pattinson plays two characters and they share quite a lot of screen time, and it looks very convincing. The face swapping and body double work is really good, with one scene in particular which they interact quite heavily in with. I was really trying to figure out how they would have made that work. I mean, everything in here looks convincing. The ship sets that a lot of this takes place in, and the CG elements for the new encounters they find later on in the film all look really great. But yeah, going back to the actors, Robert Pattinson is great in this, despite me not necessarily agreeing with his voice. An interesting fine line between quirky and comedic. And alongside him is Naomi, who does a really good job here too, and is probably the most normal character here. She was just radiating this I don't give a fuck attitude, which I enjoyed seeing play out. But the two big players I really want to talk about are Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, who are essentially the villains of the story. Both just irritatingly unsettling to the point where it's almost exhausting. As soon as I saw Toni Collette, you just knew how this was going to go down. She's so good at playing these eccentric narcissists. And then you got Mark Ruffalo, who just matches that energy really well. And honestly, whoever in the costume department decided to give him those fake pearly white teeth and to plump out his cheeks, honestly a genius. Well, maybe an exaggerated term, but you know, it was a great choice. It just added to that punchability of the character. It's weird to say that they played their characters so well to the point that it was draining. I mean, the movie felt like that as a whole. It's not a film that leaves you feeling refreshed or anything. It's nearly 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I think it could have done with 20 minutes of that being chopped off to help with the slow pacing issues. There's a distinct lack of soundtrack at times as well to assist with that unsettling feeling, which is a good choice. However, it doesn't help when you think a scene is already going on for far too long of a time. The lack of music might just exaggerate the boredom that you're feeling. I do think the core of the film works well here. It's just wrapped in a less than ideal presentation of the story, and I do think that's mainly because of length and pacing. It's one that I can say I still managed to enjoy, but wouldn't easily rush back to watch again. I think it's still one that I'd lean towards recommending. It's such a unique story that I think it's worth experiencing at least once. I think I just wanted a little bit more from it though. So yeah, that's Mickey 17. Have you seen it already? I know it came out in the States flipping ages ago, but you know, the UK only got it recently. If you have seen it, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, feel free to leave a like and subscribe and all that stuff. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews on movies, anime and video games. Until next time guys, take care. Bye bye.